3 months ago, I was cutting grass in my front yard. And the mailman shows up with a letter from the army. Now I'm here. No idea where I'm gonna end up.
Welcome to France.
What happened here? Some questions don't have good answers.
There's a lot of soldiers out there. There's only 4 of us.
Find out what's inside that compound. What is this?
1,000-year army. These 1,000-year soldiers.
What's behind that wall?
What do you do with those people? They have been given a purpose.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to 31 Days of Monsters. I am your horrible host, Graham Nolan, and this is day 18 of our daily series in the month of October. Today, we're going to talk about Overlord. Now, this film gets its name, obviously, from the code name Operation Overlord, which was the Allied attack of the beaches of Normandy to push the Germans back to Berlin and our major offensive. You only get one shot at a first impression, and they blew it. This one. The scene opens, the movie opens with the C-47s flying over to Normandy. Okay, so far so good. Special effects look fantastic. And then we meet our protagonist. I think his name is Boyce, Trooper Boyce. And he happens to be a black soldier. Well, the problem with that is that there was no integration in the armed forces in World War II. That didn't come about until 1948 when Truman put a proclamation through. But it didn't actually go into effect until McNamara did it in 1963. So the question becomes, if this is the story you want to tell, why make this in World War II? If the story is to be about a black soldier and his experiences, why set it in World War II? Because it just completely takes you out. And then the sergeant comes out who's in charge of the jumps. He happens to be black as well. Again, this did not happen in World War II, and you're trying to place this story in World War II for a reason. What is that reason? Because the Nazis were known to do experimental crap, that Hitler believed in supernatural stuff. All that stuff has been mined before. So if the story is to tell this soldier's experience, why not set it in Vietnam when you would have had some historical accuracy for it? It didn't have to be the Nazis. It could have been the commies, the Russians, or somebody. There's a million different ways you could go with this. But what they did was they did box checking, And if you know anything about World War II, it takes you completely out of it. And that was that was the first thing I saw. Now, the special effects look really, really great. I mean, um, the uh, uh, the shrapnel and the flak and all the stuff that's happening to the invasion force looks right up there with Band of Brothers. So it's sort of like Band of Brothers without the history. um, I feel like the director really wanted to do a World War II movie, uh, but he didn't want to do the research. There's a whole bunch of mistakes in here. For example, if you start, all right, sometimes I might be a little bit anal, but when somebody is pulls out a gun and starts shooting, sometimes I count the bullets just to see if they're right. And there's a shot where, or a scene where our character is shooting an M1 Garand, and he shoots like 9 or 10 shots, and the clips uh, only held 8. Um, and those are true clips, by the way. You'll hear people talk about, oh yeah, put a clip in the pistol, put a clip in the gun. Those are magazines. The M1 actually had a metal clip that held the rounds, and you would pop that in, and then on your last shot, the clip would bounce out, and you would hear that tinny little ting ting. Really, really cool sound. Really excellent gun. Um, there's another scene where I think guy's shooting a 45, and he pops off 9 rounds. Uh, and at best, I think it can hold 7 if you got 6 in the mag and 1 in the chamber. There's these little things that, uh, if you're going to do a cross genre thing and you're rooting it in the reality, which is World War II in this case, get it right. Because it makes all the unbelievable stuff that much, much better, to me. Because you're grounding it. You're grounding it in the reality that you're trying to tell the story in. And I think it was a mistake setting this in World War II if you weren't going to do the proper research for it. As a movie, we've seen this before pretty much. The special effects are great. The zombie creatures, um, the SS commander, whose picture I used um, in the banner for the show. He's got like a hole in his face here. It's really nasty looking. That looks pretty awesome, I gotta say. Uh, there's a really great line in this thing when the SS officer says, the 1,000-year Reich needs 1,000-year soldiers. Uh, there was so much in this movie I wanted to like, and if they had gotten it right, this could have been a really, really excellent cross-genre film. And you guys know me, I love cross-genre stuff, but you got to do it right. You have to make it believable, and that goes back to grounding it. Uh, Another issue I had was Wyatt Wyatt Russell, who is Kurt Russell's son. Seen this guy in a few movies, and he has absolutely no range whatsoever. He doesn't have that personality that his dad has. His dad could be likable and funny. I mean, you ever see Used Cars? I think Kurt Russell's a friggin' riot in that. Um, this guy has kind of like he's got a zone he can stay into. Um, so I didn't particularly care for his casting, and he's got a hairdo that nobody wore in World War II, and B, nobody would have been allowed to wear it. It's like this long kind of combed back, greasy looking hippie hair. You look at those guys that dropped with the 101st. Some of those guys were shaved. You had that group that had the mohawks, but there's nobody that had that long hair. So again, it's one of those anachronisms that pop out at you and take you out of the story you're trying to tell. So this one I had hoped would be better. J.J. Abrams produced it. It looks slick. Cinematography, color, special effects are all top notch. It's just that, the storytelling in it is what blows it for me. So let's say good morning to everybody. Now, here we are again, back at our usual bat time of 8 o'clock. I hope that works better for everybody. First one in the room today is Dr. Masks, Retro Elixir. He says, hail. Fearless Freep is here. He liked this one. Fearless Freep says, the zombie movies go. I like this one better than the rest, except for the comedy ones. We got a fun one coming up tomorrow, by the way. Rob Fells is here. Let's see what his quote is. There's a lot of soldiers out there, and there's only 4 of us. Yeah, when he says 4 of us, he holds up 10 fingers too, which is pretty funny. There's a lot of soldiers out there. There's only 4 of us. I had replied to Dr. Master was the first guy to post in the chat, and I replied, Guten Morgen, having taken German in high school. And Stippling Vaughn says, Guten, Julia took over Graham's account again. My little German bride. Okay, let's see. Tom Tuttle is here. Hello, good morning, Tom. Hill, and good morning, monster lovers. Richie Dupe is here. The Normie Nerd. Gary Bruce. Jet. Let's see. How do we pronounce that? Jetinders. Well, we'll just call him Jay. Good morning. Cigar Gangster is here. Exactly. If you don't know anything about World War II, don't do a movie about World War II. Jake Blues, hail, this was a good one. Well, Private American woke soldier, says Cigar Gangster. Don't get me wrong, the actor was fantastic. He was really great. And I would have liked to have seen this taking place, as I said, in Vietnam. That would have been a much more interesting movie because you could have explored so many other different things. There's so much stuff that was already mined in this film. It seems superfluous. What was the point of making it? Richie Dupe says, why not rewrite history? The problem is so many people watch these movies and they think that they are accurate, and then they get these, misinformed ideas about how things were, and that forms their opinions later on. That's why, to me, it's so important to study history, so you don't make those same mistakes again. You learn from history is the way to do it. Yet, was it wrong to segregate the troops? Yeah, they're as American as anybody else, and they want to fight for their country, and they should be allowed to do so. And that was finally realized again. Truman realized it, but then it took another 48 to 63 is what 15 years. It took 15 years for McNamara to actually get that actually into effect. So yeah, this would have been a much better film in Vietnam. Every time I see Nazis on motorcycle, I think of Steve McQueen in The Great Escape. That's a great scene. Marcus Kellegrew is here. Good morning, Marcus. The ammo fairy was busy during that movie. Yes, indeed. What did I just see? I just saw a movie. I can't remember if it was the sequel to Train to Busan, Peninsula. But these guys had unlimited rounds. It was just crazy the amount of bullets these guys are shooting. Old movies, they get it right, even old cheesy sci-fi movies. where you'd see guys with M1s or M1 carbines or 1911 45s, all that Army surplus stuff post World War II that everybody had. Um, they always, whoever was in charge, the of the weaponry or the the guy on set in charge of that stuff, they always got it right. I mean, one of my favorite scenes is in White Heat, where the James Cagney, uh, great gangster film, where Cagney's got this guy in a trunk, and he comes out and he's got a chicken leg, and he's chewing on the chicken leg, and the guy is in the trunk, he's banging on. He says, "Let me out, let me out," and Cody Jarrett, that's uh, Cagney's character, who's a psychopath. Uh, he says, he says to him, "Oh, getting hard to breathe in there? Here, I'll give you a little air." And he puts the chicken into his mouth, right? Then he takes out his 1911 45, um, racks it back, and then you see him turn the safety off. When was the last time you saw that? He flips the safety off and then he blows holes into the trunk. Uh, it's that kind of accuracy I love to see, but you don't see that much anymore. I'm going to get on a little soapbox here, but Hollywood screams about gun control. Oh, it's terrible, and also, and yet they're the biggest purveyors of the improper use of weaponry. They have people waving things around, pointing things, no trigger control, fingers. It, 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 it it just goes on and on the way they misrepresent um, uh, weapons, and it's frustrating. Oh, another thing, the sound effects. Group of guys standing around, everybody brings their weapons up because they think there's a threat. Everybody goes up like that, and all of a sudden, what the hell's rattling around on those guns? You better get that to a gunsmith real quick. You got a problem. Vogan Club webmaster. Sadly, Hollywood cares little about historic accuracy anymore. Integration in World War II isn't new. Black Anne Boleyn and a female black Viking king are a few examples. But I don't know much about that era. So I mean, obviously Anne Boleyn, was a real person. The Viking stuff, who knows? They were everywhere. Uh, I can't make that call. And it's just that if you're going to tell a story again that's grounded in a specific time period, then make that time period accurate. If you can prove during the Viking era that there was this black king, then hey, more power to you. Go for it. And then that's a learning experience for people because they may not know that existed, if it did indeed exist. But something as easily recordable as World War II, this is one of those, boom, what the hell were you guys thinking? Dr. Mass says Used Car is a great movie. Oh, yeah, I love that movie. Robert Zemeckis film. Hey, my old buddy Roger Rivera is here. Good morning, Roger. One of the nicest guys at DC Comics. Chris Juliano is here. Jacob Hernandez is good morning. Richie Dupe, I'm dressing as a JDAM missile this Halloween. This film was originally supposed to be a Cloverfield film. Oh, that's interesting. JP Roca asks, what's good? Dr. Mask reminds everybody to go over to my website and grab a copy of Alien Alamo or some other cool book. Hey, there's a cross-genre book. Because, as I said, I love cross-genres. Sci-fi Western. But there's some World War II stuff in there, too. Because it takes place in 1957, post-World War II. And this is a good example of what I was talking about as far as doing your reference. Um, my One of my protagonists in the story was a World War II Marine, and the Marines in the Pacific, their uniforms changed, their helmets changed at various points, and uh, I did the research so that uh, the time that this took place during the war, I had the accurate uniforms that they were wearing, the accurate weapons that they carried, all that kind of stuff. Because I'm a stickler for that. Somebody may read that and say, "Hey, this guy didn't do his stuff." When I did Return to Monster Island, I had um, in the first Monster Island book, which I did in 1998, the Navy's interceptor was the Tomcat. Well, by the time I got to Return to Monster Island, they had changed it to the F-18. Uh, but I needed a two-seater, and there's a few F-18s that have two seats, but primarily they're single-seat planes. Um, so I had to do the research to find out what I could get them into to have my two characters in the same plane together. Um, Another thing was that a helicopter shows up, and everybody says, get to the chopper, or the chopper's here, blah, blah, blah. Well, I found out from some Navy friends of mine that the choppers are what the Army calls a helicopter. The Navy calls a helicopter a helo. So it's little things like that that are important when to immerse in this case, readers, or immerse your viewers in a film to get it right. It doesn't take a lot to do a little research. If you don't know, then maybe just check it out. Don't assume it because you saw it in a movie, you know, because as we've just pointed out, they get it wrong. Man of War 665 is here. I don't feel tardy. Little David Lee Roth reference there. Chris Juliano is recommending Below. Below is a good World War II ghost story. I hadn't heard of that one. I have to check that out. Ah, okay. Jatinder. And the SG is his initials. Okay. Thank you, Jatinder, for that explanation. It's not important is late, but he's still here. That's right. You get points for that. There were a lot of bullets flying in They Live. Maybe it was They Live. Maybe that was the one. I can't remember. Uh, Stippling says they all knew back then because they all had fired guns. Hell, they knew how to properly use a flamethrower. Yeah, I was watching Them, one of my favorite 50s sci-fi films, and they burn up the giant ants with these flamethrowers because again that's World War II surplus stuff, and you see a lot of really cool movies with flamethrowers in them. And all the guys that handled the flamethrowers in that movie were combat veterans that had fired them at the Japanese in World War II. So they knew their shit. Who wouldn't want to fire a flamethrower? I said to Julie the other day, I said, "Man, I would love to shoot one of those things." She goes, "Yeah, I know you would." That would be so cool. Yeah, Marcus is right. Gun safety. Ask Alec Baldwin. Don't kill the messenger. My wife hates it when I nitpick gunfights in military uniforms and TV shows and movies. Hey, if you know, you know. Faye is here, says, "Good morning, everybody." and suggests that this movie is supposed to be an alternate Earth. Well, it has to be an alternate Earth. Vogan Club webmaster says he forgets the Viking King's name, but he was a real person. They are race and gender swapping. Okay, there it is. Statistical Zero is here. Good morning, Stat. Wondered where you were this year. Finally got in here live. Good morning, Graham and chat. Here's to another day in the funny pages. Well, welcome, my friend. It's good to see you. Leg kick one. I don't know if I introduced him, but good morning. Chris wants to know, would I ever work to bring one of my books to the screen, animated? Uh, no, I would never work to bring it to the screen. But if somebody from that industry came to me and wanted to do it, it's something I'd be involved with. But I wouldn't go out and specifically solicit any of my IP to film or TV or animation. Um, my focus is doing them as comics, and if somebody sees it as value in another media form, great, have at it. Um, I'll help you along, but I'm not going to waste energy, uh, you know, pissing up that pole. Faye says that the sequel to Train to Busan didn't need to be made. Yeah, well, you could have called it anything. It wasn't a sequel in any real sense. Dr. Mass says, yeah, hit that like button, folks. And if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. Doesn't cost anything. And here's the deal, that when you like these things and, giving them the thumbs up and become subscribers, what that does is it helps the algorithms of the channel, which helps to monetize it, and it helps other people to see it. And again, it's like a self-perpetuating machine. So please do that. I'm only seeing 4 likes right now. And how many names have I read off in here? So please hit that like button. Don't be so goddamn lazy. Hit the like button. Don't make me come after you. All right. Yes, Leonard Nimoy was in them. Chris Thacker is here. Good morning, Chris. Flamethrowers are $600 on Bud's Gun Shop. Funny story. We had a gun shop open up here recently, a couple of years ago. So I go down there to check out, see what they got, and they had flamethrowers there, and they were about somewhere around there, $600. And I thought that was so cool. I said to the guy, I said, flamethrowers. I mean, who buys this? What's this for? And he looks at me and he goes, brush removal. I'm like, okay, brush removal. So I get home and I say to Julie, I said, oh yeah, you get these really cool AR-15s here, but you should see they got flamethrowers. And she looks at me like this, like, flamethrowers. I said, yeah. Now imagine me out there in the driveway in the winter. We got 3 feet of snow, and I'm out there with a flamethrower, melting all that snow off. How cool would that be? I got quite the eye roll. You're not getting a flamethrower. I'm like, really? He goes, no. Sibling says I'm gonna have Cecil singing "Piss Up a Rope" all day now. Thanks. No problem. Yeah, I mean, I have to say my neighbors would probably call me in, like, "We got a maniac out there with a flamethrower on his driveway." Stippling says, "Commenting, on the show, in the reruns helps engagement also." So, if you're tuning in when we're not live, okay, again, you know, subscribe, hit the like button, make comments. That's cool because I see the comments come in. I get notifications, and I usually like or reply. Somebody asks a question, so if you're catching this in the rerun, you got a statement or a question, drop it in there. Yeah, I misplayed that. Dennis is here. Good morning, Dennis. Thanks, Graham. Now I want a flamethrower. Dennis is originally from Minnesota. I'm surprised you didn't already have one up there. The boss has spoken. Please don't encourage him. Yeah. Maybe if we drop enough likes, Julie will let Graham have a flamethrower. What a great stream that would be, huh? It would be hot. Oh, Wisconsin. Sorry, Dennis. I knew it was somewhere up in the nether regions of the cold. All right, gang. This was a fun one today. We have actually a fun zombie movie for tomorrow. It's Return of the Living Dead. Got the great James Karen in it, Clu Gallagher. This is one of the best '80s zombie movies because it's cool, it's funny. It's also got a direct connection to Night of the Living Dead, uh, at least in their story universe. So we're going to be talking about that one. So there's your marching orders. World War II, 101st Airborne. There's your marching orders. And we'll talk about that one tomorrow. But I hope you guys watch it, and I hope you have a great day, and we will see you back here then. So enjoy. Bye-bye now.